1, 2, 3, 4. Native footsteps echo voices for a mile. Silver curtains, purple eyes, a painted smile. Haunting town, stinging asphalt, have to fly. Nobody's trying. Faster glass, I'm only run. And I always will remember how it could have been. Shattered doorways dancing, I will dig a father Nancy's land. Made me painted footsteps, all the pennies will turn to quicksand. And I will be alive by the time you read the note from friends. Crystal figures, candle holders made of brass, wooden matches, little brown box made of steel, black and white still, sort of kids and steadily.
What up, Tucson, Arizona? This is the Call Me Crazy Show, episode 251. And before I say anything, I just gotta hold this headline on this newspaper that came out not even 3 days ago. Can you fucking believe it? I can't believe it. U.S. forces killed bin Laden in firefight. Justice has been done. President Obama tells nation we must be and will remain vigilant at home and abroad. Huge flag-waving crowd in New York and Washington celebrate. Embassies on high alert amid fears of retaliation against Americans overseas. So what happened the night before he was killed in a firefight? Me and Marty and the television, we had filmed episode 250. And episode 250, which we just saw back a while ago, there's maybe a 5-minute rant where I had posted in my notebook things during the week I think about. And it had occurred to me, like, oh shit, the 10-year anniversary of 9/11 is coming up. I was talking about it on episode 250. And then it occurred to me, like, you know what, it's been 10 years, and we decided we're going to talk about Osama bin Laden and where the fuck was he. And I managed to say, stupid me, I said, I thought he might have been living in the U.S. Anyways, but what I did manage to say was that he was he was hiding in plain sight. But instead of the U.S. being him hiding in plain sight, apparently it was inside Pakistan. So there we go, folks. You can't tell me that the U.S. is not the greatest motherfucking country in the fucking world, but the fact is that it took us 10 years, but the point is, if we're like the sleeping lion in the cave, you know. You never walk into a cave with a sleeping lion, because before you know it, you're ripped to shreds, and that's what the U.S. did. And God bless those Navy SEALs and helicopter pilots who went on a nighttime raid, straight out of a fucking spy book. Because believe me, I have read everything from Robert Ludlum, Jason Bourne series, and Tom Clancy, and this is not, you know how they say stranger in fiction, that's what it was, and God bless the Navy SEAL. But anyway, those guys managed to go in they were picked from the best of the best, and apparently there were 30 to 40 Navy SEALs who went on 2 separate helicopters. At 12:45, they left Afghanistan from an undisclosed location. I gotta love that word. But they left at an undisclosed location, and that whole time while they were gearing up and getting ready to go on that mission, nobody knew what was going on. Apparently President Obama and a handful of people knew that there was a high profile target inside this compound and in the city in Pakistan, apparently by this military base, a Pakistani military base. But apparently the White House, several people in the cabinet, including President Obama, were aware that there was actually Bin Laden in there. So yeah, it's like saying I have the biggest fucking secret in the fucking world and I can't fucking tell you. It's like, someone could tell me I could found Bin Laden, I think it's him, and we could confirm it 4 minutes ago, and it's fucking Bin Laden, Mr. President. What do you want to fucking do? Fucking take him out! And they took him out right away. And the best part about it is that they were in this room in the White House called, I don't know where exactly in the White House, but it was designated the War Room. And Hillary Clinton and fellow members of the armed services and directors of government agencies were all in this room looking at these monitors on the wall, and apparently they were watching the whole nighttime raid in real time from the time the soldiers got onto the helicopter, the trip all the way down from Afghanistan to Pakistan, to then rappelling down the helicopter into the compound over a 20-foot wall, going in an intensive gunfun firefight, killing everybody in the compound, then storming the house, running up the stairs, and then imagine the rush. I mean, you have the night goggle visions on, and you're running down the hallways, and people are telling you over the radio, they're like, clear, everybody down, and you fucking kicking the door down, and you kick the door down, and there he is, the motherfucker standing right there in the bedroom, and you're the fucking Navy SEAL who happened to fucking kick the door down, and you're telling him like, you surrender, and he's like, I won't surrender. And the point is, nobody knows what the actual word was said, but it said within a minute of the door being kicked down, he received a double tap. And a double tap, I guess it's going to be a new word in the dictionary, even though it's been a real word. And what that means in the military means that you get 2 bullets in the head. And so Bin Laden in that room got 2 bullets in the head. And imagine telling everybody like, hey, I just took him out, he's fucking dead. And then after that, to go and say, you know what? Nobody in the world is going to fucking believe us. So you know what? We're going to have to take the body with us. So other armed force people went in there, and between 4 or 5 of them, they picked up the corpse of Bin Laden, and then they took him all the way to the helicopter and then took him back to the base. And that's where they did DNA testing, and they did facial photography, I guess, facial recognition software, where they said they could compare 99 points of, I don't know how exactly how that works, but the point is they said they were 99.9% sure that it was fucking moron Bin Laden. But anyway, I was watching some movie on my PS3. Well, my PS3. But anyways, I was watching a movie on my PS3 that night, which was May 1st, by the way. And it's funny, everybody was like feeling all happy because Kate and William had got married in London. So it's cool, it's great. I don't exactly hate them, but I wish them well for their wedding. But my brother had called me, like, put on the news, Osama's dead. I was like, yeah. Put on the news, and it's one of those moments where it's like a 9/11 moment where it's like my jaw fucking fell open, and I'm looking at the headline on the bottom of the news, and it's saying Osama bin Laden killed in firefight, and dude, I got chills. I remember feeling. I remember being in the state of disbelief. I couldn't believe it. I was so it was so shocking and satisfying at the same time, because I don't mean when I mean I want people to die, I don't mean I want people to die. But when I said I wanted Osama bin Laden to rot in hell and burn a horrible death, and I meant it, and that it happened, well, and to see it on TV at the same time the whole world is seeing it, it was one of the rare moments in my life. Like I knew exactly what I was doing when I found out that he was dead. You know, and it goes to show, don't fuck with us, man. That's all I gotta say. You know, don't fuck with us. It took us 10 years, but hey, that's the way the cookie fucking crumbles, motherfucker. So there's no more Bin Laden to talk about on the Call Me Crazy show. And as of tonight's episode, Bin Laden will never be a conversation that we'll ever talk about anymore. Because he's fucking dead, folks. He is fucking dead. And that don't mean the war on terror is over. No. Some people say it might incite more unrest with these extremists. I just gotta say, you know what, bring it. Because we'll catch you and we'll kill you too. Because we killed Bin Laden and we can kill you. And on the subject of terrorists, there's other factors that we gotta say thank you to, not only to the Navy SEALs who did the firefight and took out one of the most notorious criminals in modern history, but we also gotta thank, I hate to say this, but we gotta thank President Bush and Dick Cheney from the previous presidential administration, because they somewhat had got the wheels in motion, I guess, through their errors or their ways of running, how they ran stuff. But anyway, it was Obama and the team who made it possible, and not only them, but the military and the intelligence community made it all work. And I, like I said, I was telling already earlier, how I would have killed to be a fly on the wall, to be in the war room, to see the nighttime raid happen in real time. Because that gets straight out of a Tom Clancy book, straight at you, you know. And if the whole world ever doubted that the U.S. was a weak superpower, you know, we're the great Satan, well, I hope this encourages them to believe that, you know what, we're the greatest country in the world. And if you want to join us, join us. You know what I mean? But if you don't want to join us, then you're a fucking enemy terrorist. So Bin Laden, good fucking riddance. And I hope you and Adolf Hitler have a great time. And it's just great to say that he's dead. He was killed in a firefight, you know. He was killed in his own house. He was killed by surprise. You know what I mean? He was buried at sea. So there's no shrine to say, hey, I'm a terrorist and I want to go visit this shrine where Bin Laden died. No. We U.S. people are smarter. We're like, fuck it. We'll give him the proper Muslim burial. We'll wash his corpse before we send him off to sea. But the point is that they did it out of respect. But they did it also too in terms of saying, you know what? There's no fucking shrine to say there's a memorial to this fucker. Because there's no memorial to Adolf Hitler, right? You know, we all know Adolf Hitler. Several days during the last days of April, back in 1945, he knew the end was coming, and he made everybody commit suicide in the bunker than himself. So the point is, history was repeated in that same couple of days at the end of April and the beginning of May. And it gets great to say that justice has been done. But then also, too, I read an article, too, about justice where people are saying, you know what? It's great that we caught him, but you know what? We should have brought him home. He should have been brought to trial. He should have had a fair trial. I fucking read that somewhere. I don't know where I read that. But I read someone was saying that he should have been brought here to the U.S. and faced trial. And he should have had a fair trial, you know. And some people are saying, you know what, that's not fair. Bin Laden should have never been shot in the head twice because apparently some reports said that he wasn't armed. As far as I'm concerned, he was a military leader, an enemy of the state, and in my book, you're fucking dead. You killed Americans, you're fucking dead. and I guess his wife was wounded in the firefight, and it occurred to me nobody's talking about the wife, and why would anybody be talking about the wounded wife? Maybe she received treatment and care, but the point is you're married to the number one terrorist in the world, and if you got a bullet in your head, well, that's what you get. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. So, on the subject I was just talking about a minute ago, is Bin Laden been dead now, I believe now, he's been dead 4 days. And there were articles that were saying that he'd been brought to the U.S. and brought to a fair trial, and I just got to take good riddance to that. And then there was some other articles I read, well, you know what, this means that this is only going to make the extremists very mad, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and Hamas and Hezbollah, oh my God, can you edit? Okay. I feel like Sergeant Stadenko. No, I'm just kidding. Israeli Palestinian terror group. I read people where they said, you know what, that's only going to inflame their anger towards us. So now they're really going to be cementing their ideas in terms of trying to bring terrorist attack on U.S. soil. Maybe not as catastrophic as 9/11, but maybe more daring. And on the subject of that makes me realize that's the CIA right there. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm going off. I sound like a crazy person. I'm just kidding. But God bless everybody who made it possible to bring down one of the greatest criminals ever. And then it occurred to me, I'm sorry, it occurred to me, well, ain't there a reward? You know, believe me, if I was the Navy SEAL, the reward enough in killing the guy. But I remember correctly, there was a bounty, I believe, a bounty on Bin Laden. Maybe Bosk took him out, or let's see, Boba Fett. But anyways, there was a bounty hunter, there was the greatest American Navy SEAL. But anyways, it makes me curious to see if there's a reward, and if there is, who gets it, and how much it is. And even though we can thank the Navy SEAL publicly, we will never ever learn their names, because not only for the fact that to protect them, and also protect their family, because if people find out who they are and the families could be targeted, because believe me, taking out the leader of Al-Qaeda is akin to saying, you know what, Adolf Hitler died today. It's same impact in terms of what it does to the cause, you know, because now hopefully I hope there are believers who are training to be suicide bombers and now consider it, who will consider it or think twice about blowing themselves up. Now they're saying, well, wait a minute, I'm an 18-year-old Palestinian, or I'm an 18-year-old Lebanese, or I'm an 18-year-old Saudi Arabian, or I'm an 18-year-old American like John Walker back in '01. It doesn't matter what nationality it is, but maybe the fact that you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to commit a terrorist attack against our motherland, just because Bin Laden's alive. But wait a minute, Bin Laden's dead. Do I really want to put myself with this dying cause? Apparently, because now there's no military head or a spiritual leader, if you will, of Al-Qaeda to lead them on their jihad against us. So maybe some of the suicide bombers are saying, well, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. So if you want to join us, it's great. You know, just swear or make a pact saying that you'll never commit a terrorist attack. and you're getting my book. You can be a U.S. citizen, I guess. I don't know how that works. But the point is that there will always be a war on terror, and this gets a huge, this gets not only a huge win situation for us, it's a big win situation for other countries also who are in alliance with us. For example, Britain and France, and you'd be surprised a lot of countries are allies with the U.S. And you got South American countries also. But the point is being that it gives assurances to other countries saying, you know what, if we have U.S. interest in your country, well, we can protect you also. I don't know how that works. You know, foreign policy like that, it gets to a point to you need 7 people to be drinking coffee around a table talking about that subject for 10 hours straight, and then you can come up with a strategic plan to combat the problem. But the point being is that there's no people around the table drinking coffee right now. But anyways, it gets great to say that this is the last episode where Bin Laden could be mentioned. I remember back in 1996, he had declared war on us then, and it was a name that had been floating around the news for a while, and to tell the truth, it was a name I have been listening since 1993, and back in 1993 of that year, there was a small bomb that blew up in the parking garage of the World Trade Center in '93, and Bin Laden was a part of that plot, even though he was not officially anywhere near the building. The point is that he helped plot that, and he already had the idea, but I remember that name was floating around then. And then in '98, Bin Laden, and prior to '98, he had already been doing some, he was already helping terrorist groups and blowing up buses and killing innocent people and whatnot. Because you gotta remember, Osama bin Laden, he wasn't just no fucking sheep herder, shepherd, fucking nomad guy who slept in tents and fucking ate fucking straw camel or corn, you know, under the stars. Fuck no. Osama bin Laden, he was the son of a billionaire, if you can believe that. So, and also too, Bin Laden, he was not a kid from the street slums of Saudi Arabia. He went to school in Europe. So, and he went to college there. He went to a university in Europe. He graduated with a degree in engineering. He also had, he knew about business. So he formed Al Qaeda in the 90s and early 90s to combat this problem, because apparently he was, I don't remember, he was expelled from some country because he was having anti-government views. I think, I'm not sure. I don't want to say what country it was. But the point is that he got ousted from some country, and that's when he decided the infidels, which is us, must die. You know, and it sounds like such a supervillain thing from a comic book. You know, that he gets decided, you know what, I want to try to take out. And guess what, folks? There is written document and proof. Bin Laden took out many people. You know, we all know he took out 3,000 some people in 9/11. But you got to remember, he took out several people in the '93 attack at the World Trade Center. He took out several people in Israel, I believe, in some small attacks. And then he did some bigger ones. In 2000, he killed, I believe, 17 U.S. sailors off of aircraft carrier called the USS Cole back in 2000. And it ripped a huge hole in the hull. And fortunately, the aircraft carrier was already, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, already in the docking bay. But anyways, it ripped a huge hole, killed 17 sailors, and that was in 2000. And in 1998, 2 years prior to that, he blew up two embassies, one in Tunisia and the other in Kenya, and killed several hundred people there. And then we all know what he did in 2001. They blew up the World Trade Center. And then it goes on to '03. It's not official yet, but they say he had a hand in the Bali terrorist explosion, which killed hundreds. That's off of a country off of New Zealand and Australia. They believe that he had a hand in that. So he was responsible for a lot of deaths. So and his original number, he wanted to kill 4 million Americans, folks. That was his final tally number. Bin Laden was his goal. His fucking goal. Bin Laden's goal was to kill 4 million Americans at any cost. Money was not an issue. Men were not an issue. All I guess was an issue is logistics and actually luck. Because you need that shit too when you're doing wartime offensives and stuff like that. But it gets an astounding number. It pisses me off that there's people out there who really think, okay, well, I want to sit in a room and I want to actually think and come up with plans of killing 4 million Americans. And in my book, you don't need to be armed or unarmed. You deserve a double tap, 2 bullets in the head, because you're a worthless piece of shit. That's all I'm going to say about that. So Bin Laden is long gone. He was buried at sea. No one will ever know where buried at sea. For all we know, he could have been buried in the Black Sea, the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. The list goes on. He could have been dumped anywhere. Who's to say that his body wasn't transferred from an aircraft carrier to a helicopter to undisclosed Air Force base, back to another place, just to throw off people. Because people talk, after a while they're going to say, hey, Bin Laden's corpse is in the room next door. Let's take a picture of it before it goes off on another place. But that did not happen because they figured, you know what, this is the most top secret military operation that the U.S. military has ever had to come to terms with. Because it's the most important, it's important that we had to kill or capture Bin Laden, because it got to a point where everybody hates the Western civilization. And when I say everybody, it's people who are not American or I'm wrong, excuse me, I'm wrong in saying that. People who don't like the Western train of thought and Western medicine and Western politics, were the infidels. If Bin Laden, what he thought was correct, it doesn't matter anymore because he's fucking dead. And I like saying that. Bin Laden is fucking dead. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And it's great to say that he's dead, he's dead, he's dead, and he's dead. Oh, I'm sorry about that. So you know what this means now. Now that the Obama administration has made it possible to capture and kill Osama bin Laden, this makes it easier for him to win re-election. And who brought this up at this point was Murdy. Murdy had brought this point up saying, you know what, he's going to walk into the second term. And you know what, he's fucking right, because he can't beat that. I don't know who's going to be the leading Republican presidential nominee, who are going to be the candidate. There's so many, it's too early to tell, but there's a picture and I love it. But he's going to win the second term, he's going to win it, so good for him. And then also too, it occurred to me, Pakistan is a better, better, well-off country than Afghanistan, even though they border each other. Say, how can I put this? Afghanistan and Pakistan are almost side by side, but Pakistan is a whole world more developed. It's a country that has a nuclear program. You know, they have a high rate of living. What I'm trying to say, Pakistan is a better country to live in than Afghanistan, because Afghanistan pretty much is a fucking war zone, which we all know that. God bless those U.S. armed forces who fight over there for us. You know, one day they'll all come home and there will be no more war. But I'm a realist, folks. There will always be war. But anyways, and it occurred to me, I saw some pictures in some magazines during the week where they were showing pictures of bombed out hulls of ships at sea, and what I'm looking, war footage, pretty much burnt out jeeps and trucks and shelled out, bombed out buildings, and apparently there was some sort of commotion in an Afghan village. I'm not sure what it was, but they were burning something. Something was being burned in this Afghan village, and this village has no running electricity, no electricity at all. Almost more than 3/4 of Afghanistan does not have working electricity. For all we know, they're still living in the Stone Age. I'm not saying that to be mean or incomprehensible to the people over there, but they just don't have things like in Iraq. Iraq don't have electricity. They only have electricity 3-4 hours a day, if that. But anyway, the picture is that in this village there's no electricity. There's barely running water, and the thing is burning. I'm not sure what it is. It's an effigy, I think, and it's burning, and then it occurred to me, everybody who's surrounding this burning object, they all have cell phones and they're taking pictures of it, and it's like everybody at a concert or you're on video or something happened and you happen to capture it on video, but I thought, how is that in this village in Afghanistan has no electricity, but yet every fucking person had a fucking cell phone. I don't know how that works. It astounds me that people will rather have a cell phone than I'm not saying they'd rather have the cell phone. Maybe the cell phone is more accessible to them, and Afghanistan electricity is not. But it gets crazy to think that the people live in a village that don't have no electricity, but everybody has a cell phone. And so that's why you got to be grateful that you live in the U.S., folks. And I know you do, because otherwise you would not be watching the Call Me Crazy show. So the U.S. is the greatest country in the world, and the fact that we captured and killed Bin Laden solidifies that, hopefully for a lot of people abroad, and said, you know what, U.S. is the place to go. So, and I told Marty this earlier too, this means now that in our year of our Lord, 2011, on May Day, first day of May, Bin Laden was killed in a firefight with U.S. Armed Forces, and it means hopefully it should, for the next 10 years, these next 10 years coming up should be prosperous for everybody who lives in the U.S. and hopefully for the whole planet, because hopefully the tide is being turned in terms of us winning the war on terror. And I don't think we can ever win the war on terror. I think we can prevent attacks during the war on terror, but I can't honestly don't think that we're going to be able to say, oh, today was the last day of the war on terror. That's not going to happen. And some people believe it or not, there were terrorist attacks before 9/11. It just didn't happen in the U.S. That's why some people are not too aware of them. Terrorist attacks been going on for centuries. Sometimes they're labeled as rebels. Sometimes they're labeled as revolution. Sometimes they're labeled as terrorists. It all depends on what the situation is, what the country that you're fighting for, or what country you're fighting against, or what group or military group. It's very, what's the word? Very confusing, I think. Because back when the American Revolution was going on, the British Empire considered George Washington and everybody who were fighting during the American Revolution, they felt that George Washington was a terrorist, even though George Washington was leading the fight for independence. So the thinking of the Muslim extremists, and not get the Muslim extremists, but extremists who take extremist views of religion, they fail to grasp the fact that they're not holy men of God. Holy men of God would not be doing with these acts of terrorism. And in the 1960s, in the late 60s, there were several hijacking with several different planes back in the late 60s and early 70s. And it wasn't until the 70s where it really caught on. I remember one time there was a French plane from, I don't know what, there was a French plane and it got hijacked by Uganda. It got hijacked by Palestinian citizens, and they had to land in Uganda. And Idi Amin was the general there, and he went to go meet them. So that happened back before 9/11. And then also too, who can forget the 1985 TWA Beirut hostage, where God bless that guy, they pushed the corpse of a U.S. military man off of the fucking plane onto the tarmac and left his corpse there, and we couldn't do a fucking thing about it. But I remember they had a gun and they pushed the pilot's face through the little window in the cockpit, and I remember he had like blonde hair and his face is being pushed through his head is being pushed through the window, and there's this guy that's her with the flat hood over his face, you know, has a gun, and this is back in 1985, and I realized there's a lot of evil people in the world. And then also in that same year, there was this in Italy, in Rome, a huge bomb went off on Christmas Day at the at the airport in Rome, I believe, on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve in Italy, in Rome. A huge bomb went off in the airport, and I remember Dan Rather saying there was these body parts hanging off on the elevator shaft. And I was thinking, wow, that gets crazy. It's Christmas Day, and there's dead people. I'll be right back. Okay. So, like I said, no more, this is the final episode of me talking about Bin Laden. Ain't the U.S. great? Wow. I can't get enough of that. It hasn't even been a week yet. I just hate to think what those like extremists are thinking right now. They're like, oh my Lord, oh Allah. They're like, oh man, he's dead, Bin Laden's dead. And I'm like, yeah, he's dead because he's dead because of a dying cause, you fucking moron. You know, all I gotta say, if you're gonna put on a suicide vest and walk into a place, you're a fucking moron. That's all I gotta say about that. You're a moron for putting on a suicide vest. So I believe that is the last thing I'm gonna be talking about. One more time, folks. One more time. This only comes once in a lifetime, folks. Tom Brokaw and Peter Jennings called the World War II generation the greatest generation America has ever seen. And I'm not disputing their findings. I don't dispute any journalist finding. But I gotta say, well, they had a World War II and the Holocaust. We have this. Oh, what's up? Call Me Crazy, episode 251, very special edition. It's been now almost a month and a half, almost 2 months since a tsunami and an earthquake pretty much shattered the way of life pretty much for a lot of people in Japan. But anyways, we all know that three nuclear reactors were burst open. They were spewing out a plume of radiation. Right now, they're still dealing with it. It's been almost 2 months. They're in a winter cycle right now, so they're dealing with a lot of what's the word? A lot of harsh conditions. But anyway, it got me to thinking. Well, I'm going to start doing some, start paying attention to some more topics about our nuclear reactors in the U.S. And I came upon this incredible piece of information that I found astounding. It's real, it's true, but apparently there was a group of people, I'm not going to say who, but what they did to compile data and information on all the U.S. nuclear reactors. And what they did, they did a study on these U.S. nuclear reactors in terms of performance levels, vulnerability, and access to bad situations. And apparently there's 10 U.S. nuclear reactors that are very vulnerable to catastrophic situations. And then I thought, the more I read into it and I looked into it, apparently, like the nuclear reactor that went kaput a month and a half ago in Japan, the name of that reactor is not the name of the city. It's called Fukushima. Well, that's the name of the reactor. Also, Chernobyl is not the name of the city where it happened. Chernobyl is the name of the nuclear reactor, where in turn destroyed the region around it. But Chernobyl was the name of the nuclear reactor. And then when I was reading these articles a couple days ago, it occurred to me, all nuclear reactors have names. They all fucking have names. So the group of people compiled a study and they said, here are the 10 U.S. most vulnerable U.S. nuclear reactors. And it occurred to me when I was writing this a couple days ago, I was like, should I really let people in La La Land know about this? And then it occurred to me, if this was public knowledge already, I don't think me saying it on the news airwaves in Tucson, Arizona is going to make any difference. What do you think, Marty, right? I don't think so either. So here we go. So the 10 U.S. most vulnerable nuclear reactors that would have a lot of difficulties dealing with bad situations. Their names are the number one most vulnerable U.S. nuclear reactor in the country is called Indian Point, and that's located in Buchanan, New York. Number two, the nuclear installation is called San Onofre. That's located in San Clemente, California. Number three, the name of the reactor installation is called Limerick, and it's based in Limerick, Pennsylvania. The fourth one is called Dresden. Dresden is the name of the place, and it's located in Morris, Illinois. And then ain't Dresden a fucking German city name? Ain't Dresden located in Germany? I might be wrong. But okay, and then here's one. there's a nuclear installation called Diablo's Canyon. You know, you might not be superstitious. I like to tell myself I'm not superstitious, but earlier today, a black cat walked up to the front of my house and looked right at me and stared me right into my eyes. And this was like at 10:45 earlier this evening. So I'm pretty superstitious. And I know people shouldn't walk under ladders, but I go out of my way to walk under ladders because I want to hit my superstitious beliefs head on. But anyway, wouldn't you think it's a fucking bad idea to be calling the place where you're gonna have a nuclear reactor? Well, let's call it Diablo's Canyon. And for you misinformed and uneducated people out there, which you probably get two of you guys, is Diablo is a Spanish name for devil. So translation is Devil's Canyon, and this is located in La Villa Beach, California, and it's number 5 on the list. And then here's one that just kills me. It just kills me. It just kills me. Diablo's Canyon, and here's the kicker. It's located on the beach. So say a tsunami hit Villa Beach, California, not only do we have to deal with a tsunami earthquake but it will destroy a nuclear facility. And it's bad enough, a nuclear facility, we all know what can happen. Look what happened back in early March with Japan, and back in 1986 with Chernobyl. And then, that same article that I was reading, they said, well, you know what, let's take the number 1 most vulnerable U.S. nuclear reactor, and let's have a hypothetical situation where, you know what, something bad is going to happen and a nuclear catastrophe is going to happen at Indian Point in Buchanan, New York. So what they did, the study its findings came down to the conclusion. If Indian Point was ever to have a nuclear reactor meltdown, immediately in a 10-mile radius, within minutes of the nuclear reactor exploding or spewing radiation, immediately in a 10-mile radius, everybody in that 10-mile radius will suffer acute radiation sickness. And when I mean acute radiation sickness, that's instant. There's within minutes. You take 3-4 minutes of being around, sucking in that radiation, you're as good as dead within not weeks, but within days. And you're gonna die a horrible death. And that's what happened in Chernobyl. All the people who try to help battle the fire in Chernobyl in the first 36 hours of the nuclear reactor exploding, they were all dead within 24 hours. Because little did they know that they were being exposed to radiation so strong that it gets scary. Here's the scary part. Okay, in a 10-mile radius of an Indian Point explosion, 2,400 people to 11,500 people will be dead within 2 days. Okay, then here, get this. Then late cancer deaths, it will be taking place 2 to 60 years after the explosion, and the numbers for that, and you get this, folks, 28,000 Americans to a whopping, staggering, phenomenal fucking number of 518,000 people with cancer within a 50-mile radius of an explosion at a nuclear reactor here in the U.S. So in a 50-mile radius of a nuclear explosion, it would take maybe up to 60 years, but 518,000 people would have fatal conditions of cancer. So that's a scary thought, folks. That's scary. So, and nuclear power is it's been around. It's been around for almost 30, 40 years in terms of public consumption. But we all know the atomic age was ushered in by the first two atomic bombs devised by the scientific community here in the U.S. back in the early 40s and late 30s. And some people are pro, some people are saying that we don't need it. It gets too late. As of right now, there's 103 nuclear reactors, nuclear facilities here in the U.S. The last accident we had was back at 3 Mile Island in 1979. But prior to that, there was a 1961 accident that nobody knows too much about. I just recently found out about it. But back in 1961, three employees at a nuclear facility in a weird suicide murder pact. Odd, I find it bizarre. But apparently that's the official findings. But apparently, back then nuclear reactors were very unsafe. U.S. nuclear reactors back in the 60s here in the U.S. were the safest of their kind. But even then, it was a delicate job, and it's a tedious process concerning cooling rods, containment systems. It's a very elaborate setup, you know, and it can be done in a room. When you say nuclear facility, it doesn't have to be acres and acres like these other facilities. Apparently, the first nuclear facility that the U.S. ever built was at, I believe, under underground bunker up in the University of Chicago, underneath the football field, I believe. That was 1939, but I think, I'm not too sure about that. But I won't believe that's what it is. But anyways, but in 1961, there were 3 people trying to take care of this nuclear facility, and the official finding is that one got so mad he murdered 2 of them, then committed suicide, and ended up taking all 3 lives from this earth. And get this, folks, those 3 U.S. citizens who died in 1961 who caused this nuclear accident in this weird suicide murder pact thing or something. I'm not sure how that works, but it's a suicide murder thing. Apparently, when they were buried, they're buried so deep with so many feet of metal and lead, because apparently the remains, even after all these fucking years, after all these years, I'll be right back. Alrighty. Okay. I had to leave for a second there. On the subject of the war on terror I was talking about earlier, 247 is the number of people on the U.S. government terrorist watch list who bought guns legally in the year 2010. So, but it makes me wonder if 247 people who are on the government terrorist watch list, how is it that they're able to buy a gun legally, though? That doesn't make any sense if they're on the terrorist watch list. Alrighty, and then also too, for people who don't know this, armadillos, we all know what armadillos are. Those are cute, round, scaly, ugly, little, pointy ear, long snout, shiny things that you see in the desert here in Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, Wyoming, and countless other counties here on the West Coast. But anyways, armadillo steaks are a fine delicacy that a lot of people enjoy. I am not one of them. But guess what, folks? If you eat an armadillo steak, there's a slim chance that you might get this. This is a biblical disease, leprosy, folks. Yeah. I mean, if I was in the desert and I hadn't had no water, I haven't eaten several days, and I saw an armadillo, well, I'll be like, leprosy, be damned. I'll be like, I'm gonna eat me an armadillo steak. But apparently an armadillo steak, it might cause, give you leprosy. Okay, then 2 more things about the presidential administration, past, present, and future. Last campaign, the one that Obama did in 08, it was the highest, most expensive campaign. Obama chose not to use public financing. He chose to go to the private sector. But anyway, $379,226,421 were used to elect President Obama. That's almost $400 million, almost almost half of $1 billion to win the presidency. And it just goes to show it just takes money to win. And then also too, it came out new information now from President Nixon administration. President Nixon, while president of the United States back in the early 70s, get this, folks, he had a box filled with huge dollar amount, and apparently President Nixon always kept $350,000 in marked and unmarked bills on hand so he could bribe officials. President Nixon had $350,000 on hand in cash. Just to have on hand, just to like say, okay, do favors for people. And this is the President of the United States. He might as well have been the fucking Godfather, for crying out loud. So President Nixon, I know you're a president, and I know I was supposed to back you up back in the early 70s. But it turns out your legacy is fucked up. Back when I was a kid, Nixon was president. So I guess me as a kid having Nixon as president, now having Obama makes up for it. But anyways, you'll be seeing me in a few moments. Pretty soon, there's a special event going on at the law that has become a tradition for and the television Call Me Crazy to attend the horror movie-thon. More than 12 hours of the world's greatest horror movies. And I'll tell you more about it pretty soon. So until then, have a good night, my friend. It is 1:45 in the morning, May 5th, and I'm over and out. What up, Tucson, Arizona? This is the Call Me Crazy show. It is May 13th, Friday. I'm stupid. Anyway, it's Friday the 13th, and it is approximately 8:45. We have 15 minutes, and we're about to go to the loft to attend the 2011 Screamathon, featuring these great movies: Slither, Reanimator, Candyman, Alone in the Dark, Dead Snow, House by the Cemetery. Anyways, we're on our way, but hopefully, not hopefully, I'll be seeing you, I guess, around 10:40. But anyways, I'll see you in a bit. We're about to see the first movie called Slither, starring Michael Rooker, Nathan Fillion, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, and I believe Elizabeth Banks. Came out back in 2007, I believe. Great movie. I liked it. It's gonna be great to see in the big screen. Later. What's up, Tucson, Arizona? We just finished watching first movie Slither, starring Michael Rooker and Elizabeth Banks, and now we're getting ready to watch movie 2, which is Reanimator, and right now it is 10:57, so we got 10 more hours to go, guys. Laters. What up, Tucson, Arizona? The Call Me Crazy Show. It is 12:49, and we get finished completing watching Reanimator, directed by Stuart Gordon, starring, I was gonna say Jeremy Piven, but it's not Jeremy Piven.
He'll be in the reboot.
It's the Jeffrey Combs. But anyways, we're at 2 down, 5 more to go. Third movie is a movie I'm not too fond of, called Candyman, based on a Clive Barker story, released in 1992. And for a tidbit, it has a very young looking Virginia Madsen back in the day when she looked very hot. Anyways, I'll see you later. I'll see you in a bit. What's up, Call Me Crazy? I'm having a brain fire. 2:31 a.m. in the morning, and we get completed watching Candyman. Not a very good movie, I thought, but that's okay. We're getting ready to watch Alone in the Dark, 1982 film, I believe. I don't remember, but this is 3 down, 4 to go, guys. So we still got 7 hours left. Oh no, 6 hours left, or 6.5 hours left. But anyway, I'll see you back in a bit. Later. Shit. What's up, Tucson, Arizona? This is the Call Me Crazy Show. We just saw the 4th movie, which was called Alone in the Dark, starring Donald Pleasence from Halloween, Jack Palance from City Slickers, and Martin Landau from Ed Wood. But anyways, it's 4:14 in the morning, and we got 3 more movies to go. The 5th movie we're about to see is Pumpkinhead, starring Lance Henriksen, who quite possibly might be the best B-movie actor of all time. Okay, it's 4:14, guys. What up, Tucson, Arizona? It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we get finished doing the all-night Screamo-Rama Fest, 12 hours. We took a break during I'm so out of it, guys. I'm sorry, but we took a break after Pumpkinhead, and the last movie we saw was House by the Cemetery, which was a 1981 film made by an Italian filmmaker named Lucio Fulci, if I'm correct. But anyways, it was a great time. We did 12 hours straight. The 6th annual Screamo-Rama. This is my 3rd one with Marty. This is Marty's 4th. But anyway, we had a fucking blast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. God bless America, and God bless the Loft. The Call Me Crazy Show. The Call Me Crazy Show. The Call Me Crazy Show. The Call